Hey guys, John, and Cody here from Nothing But Cardboard, and today we're bringing you another cardboard cutback, us spitballing on NFL and our thoughts, so stay tuned.
All right, so today is Super Bowl Sunday. The Chiefs are going to face off against the Eagles at 6:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. But until then, we are going to go ahead and have a little discussion about some of the quarterbacks that we think are going to be on the move this offseason. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, but then also who are we targeting? And then finally, what are our predictions for who's going to win this Super Bowl? So we'll go ahead and kick it off to John here because I think he knows which teams need quarterbacks or what we think should happen anyway.
So this morning we're getting preparations for the bowl. We went and got our food. We got our Celsius that are not a sponsor at all, but if you want to sponsor a Celsius, hit us up on Twitter. And we started talking about teams that need QBs. So Atlanta, Carolina, the Jets we're assuming need to do something. Washington, the Buccaneers now that Brady's retired. Colts, Texans, New Orleans, and possibly the Titans.
It's every team in our division needs a quarterback. That's crazy.
Pretty much. So those teams need a quarterback, and there's quite a few quarterbacks out there, so we're just going to toss around what we think might be a good fit. And this has a lot to do with sports cards because you can start targeting guys now that may be off the radar that could have a good year. Like, for instance, Pitts. Love Kyle Pitts. Bought some of his cards as a Gator fan. I followed him in college.
Yeah.
Bought some of his sports cards. He needs a QB. He needs somebody to throw to him. He needs another wide out there to take some pressure off of him. So
I'm still a Pitts truther. I bought a bunch more autos over the last few months.
He's so expensive too.
Still fairly expensive, but I got a Contenders Optic out of 99 rookie auto ticket for $50. It wasn't that bad. No.
graded or wrong?
It was a redemption actually. So who knows when I'm going to see it, but
yeah.
That's your third one, right? Your third redemption?
Pitts is only 21 years old, so people don't realize it. He was drafted in that 2021 class, but he's still younger than most of the people in this draft class. So remember that. Tight ends bloom late, and he needs a quarterback. So
who do we think might end up in? Again, this is just us speculating on what we think could happen.
So let's think about who do they have right now. They have Marcus Mariota, but they also have Desmond Ridder.
Yep.
Ridder was taken in the 4th round. He's more of a project, I think, than anyone. Someone with a lot of raw talent that has to kind of be developed into that starting role. I don't think he's there yet. And I don't think Mariota's the answer. They kind of proved that this past season. I mean, he didn't do that great.
Hit or miss last year.
They need someone who can pass. I think it was decent when they had Matt Ryan there, but their offensive line was terrible. So they're just like in a constant state of rebuilding is what it feels like.
Yeah.
I don't know. They need someone who's a little bit more seasoned, like maybe if Garoppolo went over there or Derek Carr, it would help him a little bit. I think someone who's more of a gunslinger than a scramble type quarterback that they have in Mariota, going back to their Matt Ryan roots. But that's just my opinion. I really don't know what they're going to do. I think they're in rebuild mode right now.
Yeah. They might just draft a rookie out of this upcoming class, honestly.
That might be their best bet, but they do need a veteran to play in behind because I don't think it's smart to start a rookie right out of the gates like that. I think it's helpful for them to play behind somebody.
Usually, for the most part. I mean, we can't go through every single team, but Atlanta, wasn't Ridley on restrictions?
He'll be back
gambling?
next year for gambling. Yeah.
Will he be back now, or did they finally trade him?
No, he's back next year.
He'll be
I
back
mean, they could trade him in the offseason,
Unless he
but
gets in
he will
trouble
be back.
again.
But no, so think about that. They'll have some nasty receivers. Kyle Pitts, they have Drake London, and then they'll have Calvin Ridley back. That's pretty nice.
They just need some pocket passer to start throwing the ball to get the ball to them, so that'd be good. Let me mention the QBs that are available, and then maybe we can start plugging them in. We're going to talk about the 49ers because they're stacked. So Jimmy G, Trey Lance, Purdy. There's no way all three of them
Well,
are
they're
gonna
stacked
enter.
with injured talent.
Well,
Yeah.
they're lucky they had 3 QBs, so they wouldn't have made it through the full year. Think about most teams. If you lose your starter, your backup's a coin flip, and you end up with your 3rd string guy.
I mean, Purdy was kind of a coin flip, and it just turned out to be good.
And how would he have done on any other team? They were just stacked and had a great defense, so they could keep him going. Derek Carr, Rodgers, a lot of rumors with Aaron Rodgers again. It seems like every year we're talking about what he's going to do. Matt Ryan, Mariota, Wentz, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and of course, Jordan Love, who hasn't got a chance yet at all either. So any of those guys could fill in for these teams. Cody, what do you think? Where do you see one of these guys going? Let's just talk about 49ers. Out of those three guys, who do you think's there next year?
Trey Lance and Brock Purdy.
I think so. Two rookies.
Yeah, because they have him on the rookie contract. I mean, they'd be silly for them to get rid of that kind of talent. Brock Purdy proved himself as a game manager, maybe not so dynamic and exciting to watch, but I mean, he had some pretty big plays going into the playoffs. Trey Lance is still that was a huge piece for them to invest in, and he's coming off of the injury, so I think they keep both of those guys. Maybe have a competition in preseason OTAs to see who's going to start, and another one just rides the bench, and then Jimmy G's gone. Jimmy G has to find a team that's going to allow him to be a starter. He's got talent. He's a game manager. He can be a starting quarterback. I'm not saying he's a Super Bowl quarterback, but
Depends on the team.
He's worth a shot. Like if he went to Atlanta, like you said, Jimmy G would be a great fit. They worked around Matt Ryan. He was a pocket quarterback. Jimmy G's similar. He just needs an opportunity.
Guy gets no respect. If it wasn't for him, the team would have been nothing this year. Then he got hurt. Had him at the beginning of the year, going back and forth. Decided to go with the kid. Yeah. Trey Lance gets a starting job. Jimmy G did nothing to lose the job or not play. Like you said, game manager, not flashy.
Yeah.
But he's consistent.
But did Trey Lance lose his job to Brock Purdy is the big question.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Who has the worst injury? Whatever happened with Purdy? They diagnose...
It was his elbow, right?
Yeah, I think he was out. It's like a 6-month injury, I think was the recovery time. So he should be back in time for probably preseason in the year. But I think Trey Lance, his injury might even go into the beginning of next year with his broken ankle. So
I think if Jimmy G wasn't there, though, and it went from Trey Lance straight to Brock Purdy, I think they would have been fine. I think Brock Purdy and Jimmy G are probably the same player.
I think Brock Purdy is actually more mobile than Jimmy Garoppolo is. I don't know how much 49ers football you watched, but he did have, it wasn't a ton, but there was a couple times where he ran and he would pick up first downs with his legs, which is something Jimmy G just doesn't do. So they gave him a little bit more flexibility with the ability to run a little bit more. Not quite to the Trey Lance extent, but he at least can run a little bit.
Yeah.
Pick up a first down if you need it.
And he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's literally called Mr.
And a brace
Irrelevant.
on his elbow.
Come on. I mean, that guy is going to go out every single week and he's going to try everything he can to become a starting quarterback and to remove that stigma of being just some late NFL draft quarterback and who's just going to ride the pine.
49ers did a great job of scouting him. It's ridiculous that, the very last pick in the draft can come back and then outplay some of your veteran or at least do the same level of Jimmy Garoppolo.
So. I mean, it makes sense if you've got the last couple picks and there's decent QB compared to a lineman or a deep back or, some other center to take a chance on a guy like that can actually help your team out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody thought he was going to play, but he stepped up in a big way.
Yeah, so that was impressive. Let's see. What about? So you think Jimmy G is going somewhere, and the other two are staying? Where could Jimmy G end up? A lot of talk here, Tampa Bay, that he may take Brady's place.
I think there's really 3 quarterbacks that are veterans that are unknown. So it's going to be Jimmy G, Aaron Rodgers, and then Derek Carr. Those 3. I don't know about Matt Ryan. I think he should retire, honestly.
Yeah.
And then you have Carson Wentz. But I think these are the big 3 that actually people want on their team.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to be the prize. I think he's going to end up in Las Vegas just because he already has that connection with Devontae Adams.
Warm weather.
It's warm weather. There's no, sales tax out there or state tax, something like that. I know that he gets a break on his $50 million contract or whatever.
Poor guy, yeah.
And then the other, so Jimmy G, I think there's a real chance he could end up with the Bucs. I think Derek Carr could also end up with the Bucs. And then I think the Jets are also in the running for both of those quarterbacks as well. So
interesting. Now does LA trades for Aaron Rodgers? Are they going to trade Derek Carr? Are they going to trade draft picks?
You mean Las Vegas?
Las Vegas. Yeah. I still get all those teams mixed up over there. You got too many teams in California.
We both got you on that one.
Or if they trade him, they're going to want everything in the kitchen sink.
Because whoever gets Rodgers is getting a big chunk of his salary. He just signed a 5-year deal last year, right? Which still has money on it.
Yeah.
So they're going to want draft picks. They're going to have to pay for that. It may help if they send Carr with them. Compensate.
I don't think Derek Carr goes to Green Bay, though.
No?
No.
So it's Jordan Love's team. I know we're kind of jumping around a lot, but we're hitting everything. So you think Jordan Love gets a shot this year?
I think they'll give him a shot, but they might also draft a new quarterback as well.
Just as a backup.
Yeah.
You gotta have a pipeline of
They
talent.
drafted Jordan Love way too early to not at least try to hand the reins over to him. They've given him maybe a game or two.
Was he
When-
2020?
He was 2020.
So
he's
in
been
that class.
behind Rodgers for 3 years now.
Yeah, that's a long time to learn. And that's a good guy to sit behind and learn.
Yeah. Like you were saying earlier, you need to get a rookie, for most part, almost
Yeah.
every single time, you need a rookie behind a veteran quarterback so that they can learn the ropes and then take over the helm when they feel comfortable with first team reps and they can actually take over an NFL team. But if you just throw them into the fire, we see with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's a perfect example of someone who's highly ranked out of college. Although there was some skepticism with him going into the NFL, he still was thrown into the fire and he had no one to learn behind. And let's be honest, the Jets aren't really fantastic anyways. So not only did he have to jump into the fire, but he did it with a team that was they're just soft. They're just not that good.
I don't know. I think the Jets' defense is crazy good. They're definitely underrated.
Yeah,
And they have
the whole
so
team.
many weapons this year. Zach Wilson should have seen a jump.
He saw ghosts again this year, man.
He did.
Yeah.
I
And
think his maturity is more off the field and being the captain of the team and being a leader than it is his physical.
yeah, I think he learned a lot.
attributes
I think he also lost a lot of confidence this year. And I know his team lost confidence in him, which is hard to regain. So
Yeah.
I think
It's
the
in a tough
Jets
position.
I think the Jets are going to keep him, and he'll ride the bench this year, and then hopefully mature into the quarterback that we were hoping for originally. But who knows?
That's
Again,
a lot
it's
of money to
rookie
pay a
contract.
guy to sit on your bench.
Well,
and
it's
then
rookie contract.
Rookie contract.
who's gonna start for him?
Who's going to
Joe
start for him?
Flacco.
Yeah, the Jets.
They're going to have to get somebody. That's why I'm saying it could be Derek Carr, it could be Jimmy G. But I feel like the Jets have a team where they feel like they're in a position to win and compete for the
They
Super
did.
Bowl.
They tried to help him by drafting receivers. They have several
Because
good running
They have
backs.
such a good
Let's be honest.
weapon.
If they had a decent quarterback, do you think they would have made the playoffs?
They started out what
Maybe.
six
I think they do.
and
Probably
1,
wild
6
card.
and 2. They were
I
pretty
think
good.
they do. They missed the playoffs by like 2 games with Zach Wilson, a combination of Zach Wilson, Mike White, and
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco. So
Look at their weapons, though. That team has a lot of
They're
weapons.
stacked.
They've been rebuilding for years. They should, but
This
they
is
just
their
need a
time.
quarterback. Yeah.
this is their time.
I don't know if I agree. That's a lot of money to pay a quarterback to sit on the bench, and you got to go out and pay somebody
He's-
else to come in.
You're not
and play.
paying him that much on their rookie contract,
No.
though.
Mm.
You're not. It's only a couple million.
It'd be silly for them to trade away somebody who has potential to be a great quarterback, even though it's up in the air whether he will be or not, right?
I know we were.
If he needs to re-sign, that's when the Jets are like, okay, we can just get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
Drop him a waiver. Some other team can pick him up. But we'll see.
Very, very rarely do you cut loose a quarterback who was drafted in the top 10 in the first 2 years of their contract.
Yeah,
They would
I
have to
agree.
be an absolute nightmare,
Right.
which this is close to, but I don't think they're quite to that point of giving up on him completely yet.
Ryan Leak. We've had some
Leaf,
guys in
yeah.
the past that were for sure number 1 picks, can't fail, and they just didn't pan out. So
Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston. 2 perfect examples.
yeah, they 1 and 2.
1 and 2, Winston and Mariota.
Never on board with that. All right, we can sit here and go through all the teams. That's going to be really tough. Let's just talk about our Bucks, and then we'll move on to our next off-season targets.
Sure.
Garoppolo, we talked about. Jimmy
Garoppolo?
G.
Drop
Garoppolo. I got a problem with his name.
Drop him below.
I even spelled it and had to scratch it out.
Garoppolo, say it with me.
So if it's not Jimmy G, who else do you guys see potentially coming to the?
Who
If
would
it's
I
not Kyle
like to
Trask,
see is a better question.
Kyle
because we have
Trask?
no idea.
No.
Kyle Trask is trash. He's a Florida Gator.
easy
He's a
man,
Florida Gator.
easy.
Get him
Kyle
out of
Trash?
here. I would love to see like somebody like Derek Carr.
I think
come
Derek Carr.
to Florida. That'd be amazing. Think about that. Derek Carr's a gunslinger. He did it with Devontae Adams, right? Just Devontae Adams. Imagine
Well,
Mike
Waller
Evans,
was hurt a lot
Chris
this year. He's got
Godwin,
Waller.
Russell Gage, Julio Jones if he comes back, and we have Leonard Fournette and Rashad White. I mean, come on, we have so many weapons.
So, I guess it depends. If the Bucks are willing or if they think that they're in a position to continue to compete.
They are.
Because it was pretty ugly this year. I'm not going to lie.
I think it was on the coaches more than the players.
It could have been.
Brady had a really rough year. They didn't get in games until
But
like the fourth quarter.
That wasn't it, though. They couldn't run the ball to save their lives
That-
this year.
that's
So
it.
why couldn't they run the ball? They had no offensive line.
True.
They had no offensive line.
Yeah.
So unless they get an offensive line to go with that quarterback, I don't think there's a chance that they are even going to be competitive next year, even in like the worst division in all of football.
Well, they have in line. They just need him healthy. Ryan Jensen.
Jensen came back, but they
Tristan
had
Wirfs is
who
hurt.
retired last year.
He missed
I
a
don't
ton
think
of the
anyone-
season.
Yeah, we did. We lost someone to retirement.
Is that who Donovan Smith took over? Because he's a bum and he needs to get off the team right now.
Well, anyway,
He
I think it
sucks.
depends. If we do get an offensive line, I feel like they could still be in win now mode. If not, and if they don't get an offensive line, they need to just draft a new quarterback and look towards the future because I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know, man. They have way too many weapons and talent on both offense and defense for them to go into somewhat of a rebuilding mode. They need to keep on trying to acquire somebody who's going to take them to at least the playoffs.
They just need to hire Brady as the head coach, offensive
Oh,
coordinator.
Easy.
I
Did
think
they fire the
yeah.
coordinator? He's gone, right?
The coordinator.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Didn't they fire
Byron Leftwich?
Leftwich?
No, I think he's in position for a head coach.
I thought he was fired, and I thought they were keeping Bowles. Nice
Todd Bowles
guy,
is not.
but I
a
just
good
don't
head
think
coach.
he
They need
does
to get rid
very
of
good
Bowles.
as a head coach. There
He
were some
did
plays last
nothing
year where they were,
at the Jets.
yeah. And again, they weren't
Why
in
would you pick
games
him up?
until the fourth quarter.
Why would he be the head coach after what he did at the Jets?
Well, he was the backup, and the defense did really good. Defensive coordinator when we won the Super Bowl and did good. So they're like, all right, we're gonna take care of you.
defense. Stay on defense. Bring back Bruce Arians.
He's
I
like
don't care who you-
75 years old now.
Yeah, but he's bring back Bruce. Leave Tom Brady on the sidelines
He's Pete
for
Carroll.
QB coach, and let's
He's
just
ageless.
bring in Derek Carr.
Pete Carroll is
Derek Carr
moving
can
up and
do it.
down the sideline.
If there's one quarterback except for Aaron Rodgers on that list, who would you take? Because you're not taking a rookie to win next year. Who would you take?
Well, we got spoiled bringing in Brady. Brady, you can't just go to a new team in the first year and go to the Super Bowl and win and still breaking records. Brady's just really good at reading. We didn't have Gronk
He's the
last
GOAT.
year, which I think Brady doesn't need a, what do they call that blanket when you got your little protection
Security
blanket?
blanket?
Yeah, he doesn't need the security blanket, but Gronk and him knew each other. They would just look at each other, and
They were
that
on the
helped
same
them out a
wavelength.
lot, big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to see Derek Carr in Tampa. I think
He's the
he's got
best
the
quarterback,
accuracy, and we have the wide receiving weapons in order to bring out the best in Derek Carr. I think. I know that he had
Got
Devontae
multiple.
Adams. He had
Josh Jacobs.
Jake
Yeah,
well on the
running game.
running back, but
Yeah.
they also had
Darren Waller.
Darren Waller was injured most of the year, but then
bomb.
what's
on
the little white
fantasy
guy?
team
What's his
never
name?
did
Hunter
anything.
Renfro.
yeah,
But he was
Renfro.
also injured too, I think,
Yeah.
last year. So it was really just him and Devontae
I think
Adams.
that we have more weapons in Tampa than they did, even with Devontae Adams in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he's not a terrible quarterback. He's just trying to make plays with wide receivers other than
But
Devontae
again,
Adams.
if we don't have an offensive line, it's not going to matter who the quarterback.
How many
He's
coaches does
much
he
more
have, too?
mobile than Tom Brady, though.
That's well, yeah. I mean, you could
Get out of the
put a
pocket.
kid in a wheelchair out there. It'd be more
I'm just saying.
All right, we're going to transition to the next next
It's
question.
gonna be an hour-long
It
segment.
could be. To transition, who do you think made the biggest improvement in QB this year? I know who you're going to say.
Wait, hold on. What QB had the biggest jump?
Yeah,
in,
this
talent?
year made the most, grew the most as a quarterback, got better
I got two.
stats. Who wants to take it? I can go.
I don't want to
but
start.
I'll take it.
I know
You
who
want me
you're
to
gonna
take
go.
it?
Yeah.
I know who it
We're
is.
gonna say
John.
the
There's
same
two.
guy.
There's two. Tua Tagovailoa.
Okay.
I think took a huge jump. People are about to give up on him. They were telling
Mr. Concussion?
well, before all of that started, people were ready to trade him. They're ready to move on from him in Miami. But he showed while he was healthy, when he was healthy, man, that offense was deadly.
Well, look who's throwing to.
Well,
Tyreek
yeah, but
Hill,
look,
Waddle,
when they had Teddy in there, what
tight
happened?
end.
Nothing.
No,
They could not win with anyone except for Tua
but
this year.
that's Bridgewater.
Okay, but Bridgewater was a
Bridgewater's
high
been
draft.
starter for a while.
Yeah.
So I think Tua made a huge jump. If he can get past the concussions, if he can recover and not have those issues moving
He's taking
forward,
some judo classes so he can learn how to take some hits and how to fall.
I think
See if
that
that
he
helps.
showed that he has what it takes to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Obviously, I know what you guys thought my first quarterback was going to be. Trevor Lawrence took a
T-ball.
huge jump this year.
He played good.
He played very well, and I think Doug Peterson was the big part of
QB
that
coach.
jump. I know they got him some help, but really the wide receivers they brought in weren't even, in my opinion, top tier wide
Christian
receivers.
Kirk,
Christian
Evan
Kirk, Zay Jones, but
and Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram,
Great.
he had a great comeback
Yeah.
year. But I think his accuracy improved greatly. His decision making improved greatly. I don't know what the touchdown to interception ratio is off the top of my head, but I know that he only had like one interception going in the last 5 games of the year.
He was
So
good.
I know in one game, it might have been the one to make the playoffs, he threw 4 picks in the first half and they were down like 20
that was the playoff game.
Was it the final playoff game? And
That
they
was
came
against the
back and
Chargers.
won, the
That was
biggest
the
comeback.
first round, right?
Yeah.
Poor Chargers, but
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, to be able to be that poised, to not give up,
Right.
be down, what was it, 28 points or something like that, to
They
come
fell
back in
asleep.
and win the game. I mean, it takes confidence to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And now, his whole team has confidence in
Oh,
him.
for
Whereas
sure.
like someone like Tua, they might be still on the fence, but with Trevor Lawrence, that whole team is riding behind him, and everyone wants him to succeed at this point. So,
And they traded the running back, so they're going to make fun of me again. Intene?
ETN.
ETN? Okay.
Good Lord, John.
Once they got one guy in there that did that, the running game started taking off, and that helped T-Law also.
Yep.
So that made a big difference.
Sure.
Who do you think was the most improved QB this year?
I'm going to let you go.
Okay, I'm gonna say T-Law also. That's what
T-Law.
I saw. And if you guys go back and watch Cardboard Cutback 3 or 4, back when we were in Cody's apartment, I picked that. I said
I picked that too.
when that coach goes there, he's gonna make a huge difference because he really did a great job in Philly when he was there getting the coach going.
Yeah, I mean, he
We
won the Super Bowl.
apologize about the guard dogs in the background, but they're excited.
There's
for the
people
Super
trying to
Bowl
break
also.
in every 5 minutes, it sounds like.
We got lots of rich cards in here. They're trying to get them.
I think the QB that probably made the biggest leap for me, like out of nowhere, was Jared Goff. Jared Goff did a great job this year in Detroit. Detroit wasn't that great. Every single time you put money on Detroit, they lose.
Good point.
And then they beat the team that you never think they're going to. So I think Jared Goff with his team, who they have, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Who else? No one. And he's still.
Well, they have
did
running backs.
great.
They have Swift and Jamal Williams.
Sure, Swift was injured for a little while, but Jamal Williams really came out. He had a ton of
He's not even there anymore. Right?
Hawkins got traded.
Vikings now. So literally nobody. And Jared Goff did great. You know, it took, 2 years? Second year with Detroit?
They averaged
I
like
think-
30-something points a game.
You know what? Now that I mentioned it, Jared Goff, I'm sorry, but Geno Smith, what are we talking about? Geno Smith did excellent this year.
He did
We did
good,
a cardboard cutback at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And I said Geno Smith wasn't going to do anything. He did great. He did
made the
great
Pro Bowl.
all year. Yeah. So, I mean, I think Jared Goff still did more, but I think Geno Smith is definitely up there as well.
The Lions were this close to making the playoffs this year. This close. And I think that they actually would have been a better playoff team than whoever else got in. I don't remember who got in, but
I don't know what's
I was
going on.
rooting
Their
for 'em.
defense looks good in Detroit, but their
they were a
offense
big
looks great, too.
surprise. They were a big surprise. Their offense carried them to a lot of those, at least kept them in the
Tight.
game
Yeah.
for a lot of those competitions.
I
It'd be
like these
interesting to
talks. I know I'm not a big fan of this. How it is, it depends on you guys and how much you like it and hit it. But we could keep branching off and going down different roads. But Detroit, that was a good team last year that
Yeah.
made a comeback and
Crazy.
see where they're going to
Everybody
be.
thought they were in rebuild mode this year. So the fact that they were able to be competitive and almost make the playoffs,
Right.
I think
That
that
was
a lot
good.
of people in Detroit are going to be really excited for the next few years to come because they have a lot of high draft picks still.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of young talent.
Yeah.
The only person that's really old is Jared Goff.
They need some
He's really
defensive
not that old. He's in his mid-30s,
He was
right?
2015 or 16.
Oh, he's not even that
Yeah.
old then.
And he was great in
Early
LA
days.
until he started losing his confidence a little bit. And then next thing you know, you're out. You bring us somebody
Sometimes a
else.
switch is all you need. Just
Well,
a change
tell
of
that
pace.
to Carson Wentz.
I'll let James Winston.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about our off-season targets. I'm
Nice.
going to let John explain. It's Super Bowls today. Some of the cards have already started dropping, like people that have been hurt, like Tua and other people. So I'm going to let John explain kind of
Here's some strategy for you guys.
when's the best time.
Don't buy any cards right now because everybody's looking at football. You really want to focus on football when nobody's thinking about football, which is kind of hard to figure out when it is. But typically it's like a month after football is ended. You want to do it before the draft because as soon as the draft starts going around, you know, the buzz starts going a little bit, card prices start rising, and then after the draft, wait a couple weeks, then you can start buying again before the preseason hype. So those are really the two best times, in my opinion, to buy football cards. As far as who I'm targeting this offseason, there's a couple guys. I personally love quarterbacks. If it's not a quarterback, it's Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is like my ride or die skill player. I just think that there's way too much talent, and as soon as he does get a quarterback, he's just going to be explosive. I think he's going to be a Travis Kelce-esque type player, except I think he's a little bit more athletic than Travis Kelce. He's not quite as big.
Yeah, so taking shots.
Maybe.
I think he's going to be more of a receiving, deep threat type tight end.
Sure. Yeah.
So, Kyle Pitts would be my tight end that I'm targeting this offseason because he's really low. Also, I mean, he
Yeah.
did
He
terrible.
was hurt this year. He was
He had
terrible.
he had a knee injury, but then his quarterback play was terrible also. So that
Second
results
complete
in
year.
bad numbers. His first year, he had over 1,000 receiving yards.
Touchdowns.
He had one touchdown
That's
his first
crazy.
year.
How do you
Yeah.
do that?
Play for Atlanta.
It's a 100
You
yard
play
field.
for Atlanta.
You get 1,000 yards. You would think that's 10. You're at least going to have,
Especially
a
when you're
handful.
6'6".
Yeah.
You know, you should be a monster out
But
in
didn't
the
they
end
still
zone.
have Julio that year? I think they did.
I don't know. He's been
No.
been
Julio
hurt
was in
so
Tennessee his first year, so
Yeah.
it was literally Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
They're just not scoring.
Ridley didn't even
In
play last
Atlanta.
year, right?
No, he played 2 years ago, his rookie year.
Yeah.
But he only played like half a year that year. He got hurt.
I think
He
he got
was
hurt,
out a
yeah.
year. Yeah.
Anyway, other than
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, I am definitely going to target Trevor Lawrence. I love Trevor Lawrence. Depending on the outcome of the game today, whether the Eagles win or the Chiefs win, I would love to get some Patrick Mahomes, but I think he's already way out of my price range. And especially if he wins today, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford Patrick Mahomes.
And he just was named MVP, so that raises prices up also.
Now,
Was he MVP?
Yeah. MVP.
I want Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think Herbert's going to be real cheap, especially after his loss in round 1. I like him. I think Tua is going to be super cheap because that's a risky option
Yeah, it is.
with his concussion. So I mean, I like quarterbacks. So I mean, any of the newer up and coming quarterbacks, I think Russ might be a good buy him now
We
and
talked
then
about him. Rough year.
hope he gets new coaching and then there will be some hype beginning of the season. I don't think he's a
Don't they
good
already
one.
have a new coach? Sean
Oh,
Payton?
they already did. Yeah, they got Sean Payton.
Yeah.
So I think that there
Offensive
could be
line. He did
that
a
could
great
be
job.
good for
Yeah.
Wilson.
And you're
Oh
at
yeah,
the
that's
board,
kind
which
of
you're always
my
on.
thinking. What do you guys think?
Cody, what do you think? Who are you targeting?
Um,
I know you've already started targeting some DBs and some offensive and defensive linemen. Go ahead and fill us in on those.
yeah, well, you
skill
can't
players.
you can't ride on me anymore. But I have been doing a little side project. I was telling John about this. Is I'm doing a Pat Freiermuth and a Micah Parsons flipping challenge just personally, where I'm just taking an initial investment of both players. I think it was like $200, and I'm just going to progressively go up and up. So in the offseason, I think I'll buy a little bit of both because I think Pat Freiermuth is a great talent. Kenny Pickett, right, is growing at the Steelers. I think that he's just going to get more comfortable. Micah Parsons is a monster. But as far as a quarterback, I think it goes into the results of today. Because unfortunately, if the Eagles do win,
Unfortunately,
then Jalen is going to increase in value. And it won't be as easy to get good cards. And I don't think it's going to be easy to get good cards, good quality cards off of eBay. So if they lose, maybe I get some more Jalen because that treated me really well this year. But I would love to do Dangerous because I think he's going to do great. He's going to be a great preseason flip. You know, that Sam Darnold going to Carolina type flip. Just buys a whole bunch of middle tier cards, sell it preseason, and then use that money to buy some more in the midseason. So I don't think I'm saying really anyone different than you, except I'm not buying any Trevor Lawrence.
no.
They didn't treat me well. I didn't get any Trevor Lawrence cards that
Well,
were
what I think I'm going to do this year is buy
pre-dated.
HGA, CSG slabbed cards.
I think that's the only way.
Crack them, send them to PSA.
I think
That's the only way you're going to get, because, guys,
These guys think that PSA is against them guys and will not give you a 10.
No, it's just the
no.
sellers.
For every 10 Trevor Lawrence cards that I got, maybe 1 was gradable. For every 10 Zach Wilson cards I got, 8 were gradable. So
Yeah.
the thing is, everybody's so high on Trevor Lawrence that nobody's selling good cards raw.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but how many
unless-
did you send in that you thought were 10s that came back? You're like, they hate him. They just hate him. They won't give me a
Well,
10.
that's
a
the
good
thing,
amount.
too.
A good amount. Yeah.
Not only were the sellers selling, subpar cards, but also PSA, I think, is way more critical on top tier talent than they are maybe like
Which they should
Davis
be.
Mills or Zach Wilson.
I think the guy had him on his fantasy league and it was costing him or killing him, so he's like,
I think it just
9.
goes into population control at that
Nine.
point.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one I'm the one who's making the population count for Zach Wilson cards. So I'm
Now
a
we're,
pop 1 there, so they're like, oh, give him a 10.
I don't
"Wow,
think-
we're really
but-
getting off target.
I don't think anybody this offseason is really going to change. I think last season I did the same approach that I'm going to have this season.
Let's talk instead of players, and then we'll get in the Super Bowl.
Well, who are
'cause
you
this was already
targeting?
getting Kind of
Who
long.
are you targeting?
I want to talk about hype.
No. You talk about your targets. You
You're-
can't just keep skipping
Same
around.
thing, QBs and all that, but I'm talking about hype. You're talking about T-Law.
Yeah.
T-Law's already hyped up. He already had a great year. So
Yep.
his cards are going to go up. So the price that you're going to get his cards for,
Mhm.
because of the hype, next year is going to hurt you because you're going to have to spend more money.
Possibly, but he only made it past 1 round of the playoffs.
But he improved quite a
But-
bit. He had
You think
You're still buying
if you
the
buy
ball.
it now in the off season, what happens when he wins a Super Bowl? If he wins a Super Bowl, it's going to go way, way up. So if you don't buy now, you're definitely not going to buy then.
There's certain teams and certain people. Joe Burrow and Herbert. Burrow's done something. He's played good. He's got no line in that. Herbert, they didn't make the playoffs last year. They killed themselves instead of tying the game and letting it run out. They tried to win, so that LA's like, all right, we're just going to win the game, and you guys don't make it.
No, it's Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
They needed a tie.
LV, sorry.
And they would have both went to the playoffs, and they didn't.
Las Vegas. And then this year, they made it. They got knocked out. They were up 24, 28 points, didn't score any more points, and they lost it. His cards still sell. People still like him. They still believe in him because he does stats. He's a great pocket passer.
I think part of that was coaching, though.
Yeah,
I think they lost because of coaching. They
people
stopped
love
pressure.
Herbert, though. His cards don't, drop off a whole
fan
lot.
base.
But it's not just that. Look at his stats. His stats are stellar.
He was amazing both years, really. He's
Yeah.
been amazing.
Yeah.
But so has Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And he has no value.
No fan base. Doesn't make sense.
So what I'm saying with the hype and up and down and trying to get the best value of cards, I've already started looking at Tua because he's been hurt and dinged up, and that's a question mark. People are like, is he
People
gonna
stay
go
away
play?
from
Is he
question
gonna get
marks.
hurt? Trey Lance, I've been able to get a lot of Trey Lance already. Same
Trey
thing.
Lance.
It's kind of questionable,
Especially
but you
with
can
Purdy.
get the cards cheap. Yeah, Purdy, I'm not sold on. He did good. If he was playing for who's another team that lost their quarterback this year? Let's say the Jets. Their guy, they pull the Jets. If you put Purdy in with the Jets, he's not having the same record that he had with the 49ers.
He might have done better than Zach Wilson, though.
Well, the
that's
49ers
insane.
went on a tear the second half of the
What
season.
was he,
so
6 or 7-1 to finish the season?
I don't know, but
Because he has one loss.
But didn't the Jets start out like 5-2 or something too?
No.
Weren't they really good?
They lost their first. I think they went 1-2 with Flacco, and then they won a bunch when Zach Wilson
Right,
came
but I'm
back.
saying they had a great winning percentage, just like Miami. They were like 6-2
Sure.
or 8-2. They were almost in the playoffs.
Well,
And then
until
they
Tua
lost.
got hurt.
And
Yeah.
that's what happens. Your quarterback you need. So I like quarterbacks. He's turned me on to a few of those defensive guys. I did buy some Micah Parsons. J.J. Watt, love him, but he gets hurt. Or TJ, the young guy. He gets hurt a lot too because he's just... When you see a picture of a guy come out and he's our size, and then 3 years later he's just like a monster, they're hurting themselves by working out so much and getting so big. It helps you get through a season, but he's getting hurt out in the gym more than he is on the field.
he's got to be big, man. He's going up
Gotta be able to get
against
through a
300-pound linemen.
All right, I don't know how long this video is, but now we're going to spitball our Super Bowl and pick who we want. And we should have said this at the beginning. There should have been a disclosure. Any advice that we give you is based on how many of that guy's cards that we have that we've had stuck away in the shelf. So I'll go first on this one. I don't like Philly as a Buccaneer fan. If you're in Philly, you might not like this, but I don't like Philly fan. They've always been bullies, throwing batteries at people and water bottles. They got a actual jail cell there where they have to lock people up and they get them liquored up. I'm for the guy going to a
Get him liquored up
game.
in the jail cell.
Well, no, he gets liquored up and he ends up in the jail.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I'm for a guy being able to go to a game and watch his team and not be
rowdy.
bullied or rowdy. Take your kid to a game and you're not going to get beat up. We'll give you a hard time, but we're not going to fist fight you and throw problems and all that. So I've had an issue with Philly fan because I'm a Bucks fan for years that we've seen it.
The rivalry. The
So
Bucks
it's
and
hard for me
Philly.
to pull for Philly. It's hard for me to pull for KC, so I don't really care about either one. So like we said, it goes by how many cards we have. Love Jalen Hurts. Watched him play in college. He lost his job in Miami. Then he had to go to Oklahoma, and he was still playing really well and throwing the ball.
It was Alabama.
Alabama.
Alabama, then Oklahoma.
Right, what'd I say?
You said
Miami.
Miami.
Oh, sorry.
You got two on the
It's all
brain.
messed up, man. That Celsius.
Tua Tagovailoa was there also. Yeah, at the same
Tua who?
time. Tua Tag. All right, so I'm going with Philly. They got a
Drink
good
some
defense
Celsius,
also.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think it. Similar to John, I really could care less who wins this game. I'm not a Philly fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I do have a lot of Jalen Hurts cards. I've been, ever since really Jalen Hurts' rookie year, I saw that there was his value was just so low compared to all of the other 2020 quarterbacks. We bought a ton. And so I have a ton of Jalen Hurts cards and some higher dollar Jalen Hurts cards. So I'd love to sell those. And so if they win the Super Bowl, I'm sure that they will sell. So for that reason, I hope the Eagles win. But as far as who I think is going to win the game, it kind of comes down to health in my mind. I know Patrick Mahomes, I think, is the superior quarterback in this. I think he's got to be the superior quarterback as far as his ability to throw the ball goes. As far as running, I think Jalen Hurts is a better rushing quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick has that ankle injury, the high ankle sprain, and I mean, a lot of times it's 4 to 6 weeks before you're going to be fully recovered from that. And he's at what, week 3, week 4 right now?
Week 4. This will
Probably
be week
4.
4.
Yeah, he played one.
So,
week.
I mean, it's possible he's still hampered a little bit by that injury. He might not be as mobile. And he does do a fair amount of scrambling back in the pocket where a lot of the magic comes from. So, I think part of it depends on how mobile he is today. And then obviously Jalen's dealing with the shoulder injury. So, from what I was reading, they were saying that this injury is likely going to be, he's still going to be dealing with it all throughout the playoffs, and it's really not until next year that he should be fully recovered. It's more of, it's not his ability to throw the ball, it's like pain tolerance is what I was reading. So, I mean, he's played a couple games since he's injured it. He's looked okay. I don't think he's looked terrible. He's still made some really difficult throws. But I think Philly has a better defense. I think they have a better offensive line. They have a better rushing game than the Chiefs, I think. Not quite as good passing the ball, but they're still decent passing the ball. I'd give a slight edge to Philly right now, but it's really close. It could go either way.
So are you picking Philly?
I picked Philly. Yeah, long-winded way of saying that.
That was a long way. I was like, wait a minute, is he going to get to it?
Yeah, well, I won't say anything that these guys have already said, except for I have a lot of money in Jalen Hurts in comparison to Patrick Mahomes. But if I wanted to pick the winner, it'd be Kansas City, because I would love to see Patrick Mahomes become like the next competitor to Tom Brady as far as going to Super Bowls and winning Super Bowls. And I just feel like it's a lot more fun to watch Kansas City as opposed to Philly, even though Philly's been on a tear this year. I would agree with everything that you said about, the strengths of each team. But at the end of the day, from an investment standpoint, I want Philly to win. But in all honesty, without the investment, I want Kansas City to win.
Now, the one thing I will say, as far as the team that, to me, that looks the most set up to win in future years to come, I think Philly has the advantage. Because I don't think that there's really anyone that is going to be leaving the team next year. And I know that they have, I think, 2 first-round draft picks next year as well.
Wow.
So, I mean, all of their players are young for the most part. Obviously, the quarterback's young. I think
that's what happens.
The majority of the team is young. So I think even if they don't win this year, they're still definitely a Super Bowl contender next year.
Kansas City does too, though. Their wide receivers are kind of slacking, but honestly, even with the team that they currently have, Kansas City that being, they are able to make huge plays in the matter of a second. And they have way better, I personally think, coaching.
They do.
Andy Reid is a future Hall of Famer.
Mastermind.
And I mean, honestly, if you have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid on the same team, I don't care what your health is at quarterback with your ankle, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Nick Sirianni's no slouch either. But
I know, but not even
Andy Reid is a genius.
To Andy Reid,
I will say, the Chiefs did get a huge haul back for Tyreek Hill. So they have tons of picks from that trade from Miami coming over. So they will have some picks in the next upcoming drafts.
And Andy Reid coached in Philly, so that's going to be good. He'd probably love to, because they let him go. He was doing good, and they just couldn't quite get there and let him go.
And he's been doing great ever since.
Yeah.
It's best that he left, because he's doing great things in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I think that wraps up everything we had to talk about. I'm sure we could have kept going for another half hour.
And then more. We'll
if
do
you
another one.
Oh, yeah.
You guys leave a comment down below and let us know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, and then let us know who you're targeting also in the off season.
So we can target them as well.
And Celsius, reach out. Nothing but cards on Twitter.
Nothing but cards.
All right, guys, we appreciate y'all. Enjoy the game.